Hello, everyone. Welcome to Wind Down Wednesdays. I'm your host, Paula Taylor, and this is episode 86. So I'm really excited for tonight's announcement. I have finally scheduled my first sound bath. I have had people asking me about hosting sound baths for quite some time. And to be completely honest, I was scared. I was scared to do it. I felt like there were certain things you needed to do a sound bath. You needed to be completely surrounded by metal bowls and crystal bowls, or have a gong, or have a lot of percussion equipment. And what I realized is that a sound bath is just sound. It doesn't have to be a certain type of sound. Just because other people are doing it one way doesn't mean I can't listen to my intuition and do what I'm being asked to do. And what I'm being asked to do is what I'm calling a dimensional frequency expansion, or a DFE sound bath. So I will have bowls. I have a brand new hand hammered Tibetan bowl that is a beautiful mate with the bowl that you hear me play pretty frequently on the show. And I will be playing those, but the focus of this will be more vocal toning. It will be vocal toning of the dimensional frequency expansion frequencies. I will be sharing those frequencies using the bowls to create a space of healing and relaxation. And the other word that came to me was uplifting. So this first sound bath is going to be in person. So if you're not in the Tucson area, you're going to miss out a little bit, but I am holding the intention to do this as a regular practice, and I am keeping it in mind that it may become a Zoom offering as well, because I am so passionate about sound and how powerful sound is. As soon as I got this bowl, I just sat down and started playing, and I started toning, and it just felt so good and so intuitively right. And that's when I knew, like, it was time. It was time for me to put aside my fear and jump into this sound bath experience. Whew, so it has been quite a few weeks for just about everyone I know. And when I went on Instagram this morning to make my Wind Down Wednesday post that post to Instagram and Facebook, pretty much everything I saw was like, are you feeling overwhelmed? Here's some things to do if you feel overwhelmed. And I was like, hey, I'm not the only one. And I've been working a lot in my medical job, which is a very kind of analytical job. And we talk a lot on the show about things that we can do to kind of bring us out of that fight, flight, or freeze, that overwhelmed or survival mode, and into ease and relaxation. And we've talked for the last couple weeks about how you can't really be effective if you are in that triggered, panicked, fight, flight, or freeze, survival mode, overwhelm mode, whatever word you want to use for it. You can't be effective if you're in that state. You've got to come into ease. You've got to come fully into your body. And we've talked about different ways to do that. And one of the things so in the meditation tonight, before I go off into my topic here, my goal is just to help us step out of overwhelm, whatever that looks like. And the cards may kind of guide me with that. So one of the things, as I was thinking about how do we get out of overwhelm, and I was thinking about myself and how I've really been in this mental space, and there's a lot of thinking going on. And it's one of the really powerful ways to come back into your body, to come out of that overwhelmed state, is to get in touch with your intuition, is to put that thinking, analytical ego mind aside and let that flow come in. Because that flow is the divine energy that we talk about every week, that life force energy, or ki, or chi, or prana. And when we are hooked into that flow, we open to intuitive guidance. And when we let that intuitive guidance flow through us, it brings us back into ease and relaxation. And we'll end up back in that ego mind again. But even if we can take a few moments each day, or 1 hour a week, and come into ease and relaxation, we start to train our bodies and our minds to spend more time in ease, to spend less time in overwhelm. And I don't want to get too far into that, because what I was guided to do for tonight, to get out of my own analytical mind and to not kind of go into a topic and talk too much about that, was to do an intuitive tarot card pull. And so what we're doing tonight is a collective pull. So this is for anybody who's watching this now or in the future. And I like to, sometimes I like to be really specific. A lot of people will tell you need to be really specific with the tarot, but actually most of the time I find that I have better results if I'm really general and I let the cards kind of guide me and I let the message come to me as it's meant to. And that's what I was guided to do tonight. So we're doing a collective card pull for intuitive messages. So this is for anyone who's watching now, anyone who watches in the future. I've already shuffled the cards. I'm not going to go into my interest in tarot. You can go back and watch any of the sort of numerous shows we've done now with tarot card pulls. I want to get into the pull because I was guided that we might pull 5 cards, and that's kind of a lot because I tend to go on a bit about the cards depending on what comes up. So I have shuffled these. I'm just holding them with my intention. I am going to just kind of give them a little bit of a easy shuffle. I like to pick cards intuitively. A lot of people will kind of just let a card come out as they shuffle, but this is just the way I like to do things. So the first card is just kind of a general direction where we're asking about intuitive messages and what does that look like today for the collective. Ooh, I've never seen this card before, and it's beautiful. I am using the Osho Zen Tarot card, the deck that I've been using pretty frequently for the last several card pulls. I have another deck that I really enjoy, but this deck is still kind of new to me, and I love it when I pull a card and I don't know anything about it. So this card is the source, is what it says on the bottom. I'm going to show it to the camera and I'll describe it. So essentially it looks to me like a glowing sun, and there's kind of concentric circles in the center of this sun. There's like a red yellow kind of ball, and then that's surrounded by a darker red circle, and then the outer circle is kind of like these flames. And it looks a little bit too, if you look closely, it looks almost like the close-up of an eye. You could see like a pupil and then the concentric circles there with the eye. So it's interesting. I asked for intuitive messages, and then I pulled a card that said the source. So what do we talk about every week on the show? We talk about getting out of our own way and getting connected with our source, whatever word you want to use for that. And that is where intuitive messaging comes from. So if we're not connected to the source, then we're not getting these messages. And there are so many messages out there. When I pay attention, I see them everywhere. I receive. When I open to receive, I receive so much, but I can't do that if I'm not connected to the source. So let's see what our second card has in store for us. Ooh. This is the other thing about tarot that I love, is that it's never not like spot on. And I've been using tarot for many years, mostly for myself, pulling for other people, something that I've only been doing for the last few years. But I just always find it to be so insightful. So the second card I pulled says stress. Literally says stress on it. And it's kind of a crazy picture. It's like this guy dressed kind of as a juggler, or as like a circus. He's not a clown, but he's dressed kind of like he's in a circus. And he's balancing on this floating ball, and he's like juggling candles, lit candles, and trying to play like a horn. And then he's holding the leash of this monkey that's like about to burst the little bubble that he's dancing on. And I'll hold it up for the camera again. And like, hello, what have we been talking about for the last couple of weeks? We've been talking about turmoil. We've been talking about stress. And this is like a beautiful literal representation of stress. And what I love about this card is this idea that last week I talked about juggling plates. And this guy is juggling lit candles. Like, that is not a great idea. He's not paying attention to the candles that he's juggling, because he's also blowing this horn. He's got like 4 different arms going on. He's got like 3 legs. You can tell he's completely overwhelmed. He's not really paying any attention to his surroundings. And then, here's this monkey that's going to burst the bubble, and he's going to drop everything, and he's going to fall. And a lot of times in Buddhism, the monkey actually represents kind of that ego mind. And so what I'm getting from this is actual literal stress, like what we have been talking about, but also this idea that we constantly try to distract ourselves, right? We're not connected to source because we're trying to distract ourselves. We've got all these things going on. We're not doing any of them well a lot of times because we're so scattered. And then we're leashed to our ego mind that is basically trying to destroy us. It's trying to keep us in fear. And here we are doing all these things thinking, oh, if I can be in control, if I can juggle all these candles, then, I'll have it all together and everything will go well for me. And really, if this guy let go of the leash, if he let go of his ego mind, of his monkey that he's leashed to, first of all, the bubble wouldn't burst. And second of all, maybe he would have the opportunity to step off of it and to put down some of the things that he's juggling, because he's going to drop them either way. If he holds on to his ego, which is where most of us are living from, then nothing's going to go right for him. Nothing. I love this card. I haven't seen either one of these cards. All right, let's see what's next. And I got to tell you, I already feel better. I feel calmer. I feel more at ease. I'm having fun. I spend my days looking at breast cancer results and I need to do other things. I need to get out of the juggling of the candles and reconnect with my source. And that is what we are doing collectively tonight. And you notice I haven't named any of these cards. I'm not calling this is what's holding you back. This is what, we're just going with the flow here completely. Oh, I've gotten this card before. I really like this card. I think I've pulled this card on the show before. So this card is Rebirth, is what it says. And it's really beautiful. It's this, I'll show it to the camera for people who are watching. And this is the 10 of Clouds. So that Clouds is kind of like dealing with the mind. The last two cards we had were fire cards. That's more of emotions and not emotions. That's not right. Oh, see, whatever. I tried to get into my analytical mind. I'm going to let that go. So on this card, there's a beautiful little girl, and she's playing the flute. And she's there's a camel at the bottom with some clouds. And clouds represent, so that's kind of that ego, that denseness of ego, not kind of knowing what's going on. You can't really see what's happening. And coming up out of this camel is this beautiful lion, and then coming out of the lion is this girl playing her little flute. I want to call it a piccolo, but that's just because it's a little flute. So what I'm getting from this card, so we need to connect with our source. That was the first card. We need to recognize that our stress is not serving us, that our ego mind is not serving us, and then that allows us to step into rebirth. To step out of the grayness, the clouds, the drudgery of being a camel and just kind of going from place to place as you're led into this colorful, beautiful red and yellow lion, this living without fear, or living with fear and doing things anyway, being in touch with our intuition, taking risks, playing music, having a sound bath. So we're on a path here. Our path, if we connect to source, we recognize and step out of our ego as much as we can. We're never going to get rid of it completely. Then that opens the doors to rebirth. And I was guided to pull 5 cards. So let's see what the next 2 are. And it's interesting. I got into my analytical mind trying to analyze which card was which and get into a little bit knowledge instead of intuition, and you see I got totally tripped up there because that's not what we're doing. That's not what we're focusing on, and that's not what's serving us in this moment. Haha. This is a beautiful card. It's very sparse compared to the other cards that I've pulled. So this card says trust. This is a water card, and that is emotions. And essentially it's this woman kind of soaring through the air, and you can't see what's above her. You can't see what's below her. It looks like she's just kind of got sky all around her. There's blue and and pink sky. Maybe the sun is setting, maybe the sun is rising. And so this card is really self-explanatory. I'm like, what do I say about this? Trust. Trust your connection to source. Trust that if you let go of the ego and step out of the monkey mind, that you will step into a beautiful rebirth. And it absolutely does require trust. There's so much fear. I mentioned doing that sound bath and how I was afraid I didn't have enough bowls, or I didn't have the right equipment, or what if people don't like it? What if whatever. That doesn't serve me. Trusting my intuitive guidance, which has been telling me it's time to start doing this. But I have been dancing around, juggling candles on my ball, instead of getting into my trust. All right, so this is our last card. I'm excited to see where we end up on this journey. Oh, is this where we end up? That's interesting. All right, so this card says guilt. I've gotten this card before too. This is the Eight of Clouds, so this is another mental card. And this card has a woman kind of holding her head, and then there's these kind of scary looking hands with talons. There's dark clouds in the background. But interestingly, you can see above the clouds these beautiful flowers. And it's interesting the way this is kind of playing out, the order that these came out in. I think it's, okay, interesting. So this card actually reads this spread almost reads to the center. So the crux of this whole thing is the rebirth. That's kind of where we're headed if we can follow this path. So if we can connect to our source, if we can trust in the messages, these intuitive messages that we receive from source, we can step out of stress and back into ease and let go of our guilt. That is how we are going to open this door to rebirth. And so where does guilt come into this? And I feel like guilt and stress go hand in hand. These are like partner cards, because you're stressed out, you feel like you don't have enough time, you feel like you have too many things to do. And what comes with that? The feeling that you're letting people down. This feeling of guilt. I wish I had more time. I need to call this person. I need to talk to this person. I need to get this work done. I need to spend more time with my kids. I need to be present when I am with people and not juggling my candles around. And that goes hand in hand with guilt. But if you look closely at this guilt card, if this woman just turned around and looked up, there is a sky filled with beautiful blossoms. There's a beautiful cherry tree right behind her, and a beautiful sky, the same color of the sky of this trust. So if she could have enough trust to let go of her monkey mind, of her ego, to let go of that guilt that comes with fear and the ego. Guilt is absolutely a fear-driven emotion. And she could see the beautiful flowers, then that will open the door to rebirth. Yeah. I'm just waiting to see if there's any other intuitive messages coming in, or if we feel like we're complete. I think that's complete. I think the message that I'm getting for the collective tonight is to step out of stress by getting in touch with source, to step out of the ego by letting go of guilt. That is how we pave a new path forward, not just for ourselves, but for the world. Almost all of us agree that things are not working for us. On a grand scale, things are not working for us. Our planet is dying. We're still at war in all these different areas. We're at war with ourselves, and that is reflected on this macro scale. So the path to rebirth involves letting go of the ego, putting the ego aside, letting go of that fear-based guilt, and trusting in the source of all that is, which is that divine light and love that we tap into every week. Well, I'm glad. I was going to do a reading for myself this weekend, and I was kind of guided to wait and just do this reading for the collective. So I'm glad I did that. I really enjoyed that reading. So in terms of the meditation tonight, keep that in mind. Keep what I've said in mind. Keep that idea in mind that the more often you serve yourself, your higher self, your highest self, the source of all that is, by stepping out of stress and into ease, the more you're going to build that trust in that higher self, in that intuitive knowing. Intuitive messages don't do us any good if we can't hear them, or even if we hear them and we don't pay attention to them. If I am intuitively guided to offer a sound bath and it takes me 3 months to work up the courage to do it, I did it. I got to the point of trust, but I could have done that the same day I first had the intuition. And there's no judgment there. I need to be easy with myself about that, because that'll just lead to more guilt. Oh, I should have done this sooner. That's an ego mind. But it is a good example of how we get in our own way, how our ego mind gets in the way of this source, of this flow of intuitive information. So I'm going to be completely intuitive with the meditation. We may do a little bit of sound. The podcast. I'm sliding things around on my desk. I feel like the podcast is going to be all me sliding things on a table. That's okay. Just be here. Be present. Be open to whatever comes through intuitively in this meditation. So let's meditate together. So for this meditation, I encourage you to get as comfortable as possible. Lie down if you'd like. Put a pillow under your knees. Put a pillow under your neck. Get cozy underneath some blankets. And if you're sitting up, really get supported. Sit with your back up against a wall. Lie back on your couch. Don't worry about your posture here. This is a meditation to bring you into ease. So let your body guide you into a pose of ease, whatever that looks like for you. One of the fastest ways to get into ease is that beautiful oxytocin breath you just heard me demonstrate. So take a nice deep breath in through your nose. Sigh it out. Allow that audible ha sound to come through. That vibrates the vagus nerve. It tells your body, it signals to your body that it's time to step out of the sympathetic, the fight, flight, or freeze, that overwhelm or stress response, and into the ease, the relaxation, the parasympathetic response. So do that 3, 5, 10 times. Just start by focusing on your breathing tonight. And as you do that, let your mind completely focus on the breath. Let go of the thoughts about what happened earlier today. Let go of even what I just said before we started this meditation for a moment. Let go of what's going to happen when we're done here. Try to focus completely on the breath. And as thoughts come up, they will, that's fine. Just let them float by. You can picture them like clouds in the sky. Come back to your breath. And notice that after you take 3 to 5 of these deep breaths, your body starts to feel a little bit different. Your mind starts to settle a little bit. Notice where your body is contacting whatever surface you're sitting or lying down on. Whatever's closest to the ground, feel that connection to the earth. We are connected to the earth, just like we are connected to divine light. Even when we're not aware of it, we have this beautiful support of this rich, dark earth energy, willing to take all that we dump in her and recycle it for the highest good if we just open ourselves to her support. And then imagine the top of your head, that crown chakra opening. Invite that beautiful divine light, that life force energy, that ki or chi or prana. Invite that to flow in through the top of your head. Take a deep breath while that energy comes into your head. Let it linger there. Focus on your mind space. Focus on the brain itself here, and take a few of those deep oxytocin breaths, letting that beautiful light flow into your head. Think of this almost as like a shower of light. It's washing away any of these thoughts, these obsessive thoughts that you've been holding on to. Let them just flow down now into the neck, into the throat. Take another deep breath into the throat and let that energy float down into the chest and the upper back. Let it flow down the arms as an extension of the heart space. And you can release energy right out of your hands here. Any of those obsessive thoughts, anything that's been running around in your mind that you've been having a hard time letting go of, just let that beautiful divine light shower that energy down and out and release it into the earth for the highest good. And then let that flow continue down into the chest and the upper back. Take a deep breath here into the heart space and let go of any emotions that are no longer serving you. Let them flow down into the belly on their way to the earth for the highest good. Take a big deep breath into your belly, that beautiful cave of your belly. And sigh out any physical energy that's no longer serving you down into the earth. Take a deep breath into your hips and your pelvis and sigh all of this energy, anything that's no longer serving you, down your legs, through the knees, into the lower legs, all the way out through the feet, down into the earth. Allow that energy to be recycled for the highest good where it's needed. Let go of whatever you no longer need. Let go of whatever is no longer serving you. Take a step outside of that fear-based ego mind for just a few moments here and invite that intuitive flow, that trust of your source, of all that is, the source that made you, the source that you are deep inside, this divine energy. Let this flow in and allow you to feel settled. Notice how right it feels when this energy comes into your space. Notice what a relief it is to step out of that stress, even for just a few moments. Just stay with this. Keep inviting that beautiful intuitive flow of source energy in through the top of the head, down through your body. Keep allowing yourself to let go of anything that's no longer serving you. Keep allowing that beautiful connection to the earth. Building some gratitude for the earth, for that connection as you breathe. Keep up with the oxytocin breaths if you'd like to release those. But I encourage you to breathe deeply in whatever way calls to you. Breathing out through the mouth allows you to release more fully. Let that breath go all the way. Each time you breathe, fully exhaling, dropping into ease and relaxation, letting go of stress, letting go of that fear-based ego guilt that comes with stress, the feeling that you're not enough, that you're not doing enough, that you're not being enough even to the people in your life. Let go of that and recognize that the source of all that is who you are. And allow that to fill your being now. Hey, the truth of your identity is that you are source. There is no separation between you and that divine light. That unconditional love is what you are made of. It is the source of all that is. Recognize that. Feel that in your body. Breathe into that truth. Trust that your intuition is your connection to source. And that stepping into ease and relaxation is how you open that door to your intuition. And from this space of deep intuitive connection, of deep intuitive knowing, invite any intuitive messages that are meant for you to come in to your being. Perhaps they come as a thought or a picture, a feeling, a color, a scent. Stay open about how you receive this information. And when something does come, let go of that judgmental mind. Let go of that part of yourself that tells you you're wrong, or the fear that tries to come up. Stay connected, stay deeply rooted in that knowing, in the belly of your body, deeply rooted and connected to the earth, that earthly knowing, opening that beautiful divine energy, that intuitive source, and inviting in intuitive knowing, intuitive information, feeling it both coming from that source and then within your own body, recognizing the truth, deeply feeling the truth of what comes in here. And if nothing comes to you, let go of the judgment about that. Sometimes when we ask for an intuitive message, it doesn't come instantaneously. It comes in the next few hours or even days. So be alert. Come back into this state of ease often. Take 3 to 5 oxytocin breaths each hour if you can. While you're going to the bathroom, while you're sitting at a stoplight, take 3 deep oxytocin breaths and then check in with your intuition. Open. Trust that connection to your source. And notice how your life changes. Notice the shift in your experience. Notice how as you practice this, you will improve. As you practice listening and staying open, intuitive knowledge will flow more and more freely, and you will feel more empowered to act on that intuitive knowing. You will feel empowered to release your fear and step into flow, into ease, into relaxation. Say ooh, ooh, say ooh, ooh. Allow this connection with your source, with your intuition, to remain open as you begin to slowly come back to yourself. Allow yourself to remain in ease and relaxation, even as the thoughts start coming back in about what comes next this day, this evening, this week or month. Continue to view those thoughts as clouds floating by, staying rooted in your inner knowing, in your connection to the earth, staying open to that divine energy, that intuitive flow, and notice the shift. Sat Nam. The truth of your identity is that you are divine source. Let yourself trust that. Give yourself permission to step out of guilt and fear and stress and into that flow of the source you are made of. As you're ready, slowly begin to wiggle your fingers and your toes. Maybe move your legs and feet around. Or if you're feeling really relaxed and you're in a state, in a place where it's safe to go to sleep, perhaps you'd like to just drift off into sleep, leaving that intuitive space open for the highest good, allowing intuition to speak to you in your dreams, letting yourself receive that information. If you're coming out of the meditation, just continue to slowly bring yourself back. And as you're ready, you can open your eyes. Thank you so much for joining me this evening. Have an intuitive rest of your evening and an expanded, flowing rest of your week. And I will see you next week for Wind Down Wednesday.